got the first album, and it was, you know, her playing the teardrops on her guitar. So it's kind of cool to see my kids, you know, become fans too.
She was like my best friend without actually knowing her growing up.
Well, I've been like this with her like all throughout my childhood. So definitely like the nostalgia of like certain songs, and then I'm actually getting a Taylor Swift tattoo based off of a song that's like very important to me, Mad Woman.
So Swifties nationwide are having the best Friday. Taylor dropped her 12th studio album overnight. Targets around the country saw long lines at midnight with fans ready to get their copies. We know many fans are crazed about the new release, but is it unhealthy? For more, we're bringing in our 9 News medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. So first and foremost, a parasocial relationship. What is that?
It's just what you heard, ladies, parasocial relationship. It means it's a one-way relationship with a movie star, a celebrity, even potentially an influencer. And I think in the era that we live in, it's just so common to have these. And there's a few key features of them that we should know about. So the first is the illusion of intimacy. So what did that first woman say that we heard?
Like I grew up with her.
Right. And she's been my best friend.
Right.
Taylor doesn't even know her, and she thinks she's her best friend, right? The second, no reciprocity. So that person doesn't love you back, but they think, you believe that that person is in your sphere. There's a high degree of emotional dependency as well in these particular relationships. And you really start to think this person is your friend because they come into your home. So think about any of these people. Where do you consume Taylor Swift? When do you listen to her? When you're in your bed, when you're at home with your family, when you're in your car, when you're in the shower, whatever you're doing, it's a very personal space. And that's why these people are so personal to you.
Well, I think the thing that like strikes me as concerning is the Taylor Swift fandom is so young. It skews very young. That seems unhealthy behavior for anyone, but specifically for younger girls.
Well, so these younger girls, Alex, are at a really vulnerable period because their self-identity has not yet formed. Their sense of self has not yet formed. So they're especially vulnerable to these types of relationships. Now, it doesn't always have to be unhealthy. It can be a role model. It can create a community where they can actually meet other young girls or boys or what have you that have a joint purpose. But it starts to get unhealthy really when you start to replace your regular relationships with Taylor, who's not a real relationship if you think about it. When you start to get in the way of your functioning, so you're skipping school or work to go to a concert or to stand in line to go listen to an album or what have you, it's causing financial strain. So you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on merchandise or on attending concerts. My cousin went to the same concert multiple nights in a row.
Are you calling out your cousin?
That's expensive too.
It is.
That's the point. So this should be a fun part of your life. It shouldn't start to control your life. And when it starts to cross over into control, where you're doing self-damaging or self-harming behaviors, that's when you have to be careful, especially young girls and adolescents.
So if there is, somebody watching and they go, okay, I know someone that's kind of crossed that line, right? They're not just a fan, but it feels unhealthy. What would you advise them to do?
I think you have to recognize it, and you have to help that person to recognize it, because they're inside the box. They can't see how they look from outside the box. So the first and most important thing to do is awareness, and really that acknowledgement that this is a one-sided relationship. As much as you love Taylor, she might love you if she knew you, but she doesn't actually know you. She's not your real friend. The second is to set boundaries, to start to make really concrete boundaries on time spent on the screen or listening to Taylor, what have you. If you're doing more of that than your homework or talking to your friends, that's a bad sign. So setting boundaries really on that, and then really trying to think about using Taylor and the Swiftie culture as a way to meet real friends and have real connection rather than sitting at home online. And unfortunately, the studies have looked at this in people who have social anxiety disorder, people who are struggling at a tough time in their life. If you have a breakup, for example, because she sings a lot about breakups, or you lost a loved one or something, you're more likely to get sucked into this. You're also more likely to get targeted for these parasocial relationships because people can use that to exploit and to make money. And again, we talk about merchandise and all the other things that are out there. So you have to be really careful to recognize what the advantages and disadvantages of this are.
Makes sense.
I know.
I think it's, dive in and love your people, but there's got to be a separation.
Yes.
reality check, if anything.
Well, especially now that we have so many of these types of figures, I would say not just celebrities and, singers and artists and what have you, but even our social media influencers. I have patients who swear by what somebody told them on social media to the point where they don't even trust the doctor sitting in front of them. So we really, again, have to start to be self-aware as we're consuming all this, because most of us spend most of our day on screens. So we've got target signs on us. And for our young girls out there, it's great to have this kind of fandom, but just make sure you're keeping an eye on those red flags.
Yeah. I remember the days where we had to get an Us Weekly to know what Ben Affleck and we're doing, and now you just go to their Instagram. We know everything.
That
about
used to be
all
one of
of
my
these.
favorite nights.
Me
Like
too. Every week I had them all.
Me too.
Get me on an airplane.
Oh, it was the best.
Maybe recreate it every Friday night. Just do Instagram Friday night.
Oh, I like magazines.
All right, Dr. Kohli, thank you. You can find more with Dr. Kohli always at 9news.com/Dr. Kohli.